I bought the cheaper one.
All right, what up, UMU? Thank you for tuning in for yet another one of our live interviews from the AFSA conference. Today we have a very special guest with us, Senior Master Sergeant Darryl Hill, the former Vice Commandant of NCOA at Maxwell Air Force Base. He's also known for traveling and doing a lot of talking pieces. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to him. He's going to give it a little bit more intro, and then we'll deep dive into the interview. Sir?
Hey, what's going on, UMU? Like you said, Darryl Hill. I am former Vice Commandant of the Gunter NCO Academy down at Maxwell. Now I'm on the Barnes Center headquarters staff, working there, getting things squared away with them folks. And I got invited out to ASFA by Columbia Southern University by virtue of Mr. Todd Simmons. Got me out here, and we had a packed house just a little while ago.
Shout out to Chief Simmons. He definitely comes through every single time.
Shout out to Chief.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Chief Simmons. And we they brought me out because they wanted to put meaningful conversations out there. So, yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about the meaningful conversation. How did that start? How did it evolve to what it is today?
Yeah, so meaningful conversations, man, like literally it started from when I was at NASIC in May of 2020. George Floyd happened, and like a lot of people did not know what to do with that situation, right? And like many, I went out and actually got hired into being a squadron SEL or superintendent for the MASN Analysis Squadron, which is Measures of Signals Intelligence. And it was a squadron over 400 people. And literally, like I was like one of 3 African Americans in the entire squadron.
Wow.
So when I went to work that day,
that's crazy, like ratio.
And I'm the SEL, right? So I went to work that morning, and it was like business as usual. Everybody, like literally nobody was talking about this thing that literally just rocked my entire household.
Impacted the nation, for real.
Exactly, right? And I was just like, why is nobody talking about this? And it wasn't until later that morning, my group commander, she shot out an email, and she was just simply like, I don't know the words to say, but I know some of you are hurting. And it was just in that moment, I was just like, okay, that made me feel a whole lot better. And from that moment, man, it was just birth. I started having these conversations within my squadron, and then it just grew. It just grew to this thing now, and I got a book out about it now. That walks people through the meaningful conversations in detail. Started my own LLC in business with it called Inclusive Battlefields, and man, it's just been rocking and rolling ever since, man. Just helping people.
My man ain't gonna casually drop all these nuggets on us. Like, I just got a book out. I got my own business. You know what I'm saying? I'm teaching all over the world.
I set it up. I set it up.
I just briefed after, like, just 3,000 people here.
It's no big deal.
Give my man his flowers.
I had 400 people in my squadron.
You know what I'm saying? SEL.
It's nothing.
Hey, give my man his flowers right now. You've been killing it, though. I want to say I've been a fan of yours from afar for a long time. So.
It's funny that you say that about how your squadron is, because I was in a smaller unit, smaller dynamic, heavily white males. So when that situation happened, and you talk about meaningful conversations, it's definitely going to be dependent on your personality and how you deliver that information to those individuals, to where you get rid of their, not necessarily, you can't get rid of people's blinders sometimes, but you can let them know, like, hey, this is really affecting me. And I think I was in a situation to where I was, my commander is full bird colonel, and I had to let him know, like, a straightforward kind of conversation, to where it's like, I don't want to leave nothing open to interpretation. I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel. And I think things like what you were doing, when you talk about meaningful conversations, it's one thing to just, say that I feel a certain type of way, but you got to address it to where people understand, like, not understand from your perspective, but they got to understand to a full extent of how you feel a lot of times.
Exactly, man. And that just starts with leaders, just starting the conversation. Like, and I just want to say to people out there, like, it's okay to not know what to say.
100%.
Because like silence is compliance a lot of times. Like, because if you're not talking about these things, then people will think that you agree with it. Like I was just telling in my session, I was just like, I wish I was back at work for this whole Montgomery brawl situation, because I would have been pulling people in talking about it.
That was crazy.
Because I want to know how other people feel about it, right? Because that's a whole racial tension thing that happened.
Especially that's the area of the region.
Like, the original of it, man. So the origins of things like the bus boycotts and things like that. And for something like that to happen, if we're not talking about that and it's impacting our airmen, whether they're black or white in this particular situation, like we're wrong because they want to talk about it. You know,
it's crazy that you say that because that whole situation, me and Black been talking about that for the past 2 days, where it's like, man, like, you know, it's one thing, you know, out here, you know, we got memes and stuff like that, but the root to it is a problem, honestly.
It really is. Like, because a lot of people didn't realize that former President Trump had just been in Montgomery that night before.
Oh wow! I didn't even know that.
You know what I'm saying? So like, it's so many things, layers, to this whole situation, and just like, yo, let's talk about this so people can really understand,
unpack,
like, what really happened, and that's what Meaningful Conversation is about. It's just about sitting down and unpacking topics, right? No matter what it is, sexual orientation, religion, politics. You know, like people want to talk about these things because these things are literally impacting folks, and I always equate it to like people. We used to have don't ask, don't tell, right? And people equated that to don't ask, don't tell anything. Like, I ain't telling you none of my business. Like, I'm just here to work. But in reality, stuff eating them on the inside.
So, and you can't have those conversations when, you know, I feel like I'm going to be judged about it. And being judged about certain stuff, even if, you know, we take the George Floyd and things like that, is like, hey, if I speak up about this, is it going to come back negatively on me? So,
and that's the psychological safety piece that I also teach, right? You know, like teaching people like what really makes you feel safe to speak up. You know, like who are those people around you that you can have these conversations with? What are their characteristics? What it is about them, right? And let's try to place some of those things in places for other folks, so folks can understand, man. Because people do want to talk about these things, but like you said, like it's not a psychologically safe environment. And I'm afraid that, you know, somebody gonna feel some type of way if I say something. So that's why I set it up to where everybody can feel comfortable about how they feel. You know, because I tell people how you feel is true.
It's your truth.
Exactly. You know, because it's based on your experiences and what you went through in life.
And that's what shaped you, shaped your opinions. You know? I love it, man. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that we're in this space and we're having this conversation. What I like most about your piece is that you're not going into it trying to change anyone's mind or perspective. It's just an open forum to have the discussion and kind of so people can get enlightened on other people's perspective. So big kudos to you, man. Big kudos to you. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. So I introduced you as a former vice commandant of NCOA at Maxwell Air Force Base. So tell me how you got into that job.
Yeah, so I initially PCS from the National Air and Space Intelligence Center down to Maxwell because I applied for a job to be Senior NCO Academy Curriculum Developer.
Shout out to Senior NCO Academy.
Shout out to
I'm the only PME, non-PME guy on here. I know how this is going to work.
Yeah, so went down there, started working on their new curriculum that they have out right now. That was a really good experience for me. It kind of gave me like the insight of like how to actually develop information for people to actually receive it, and also for how people can teach it. You know, and that's kind of what helped me with Meaningful Conversations as well.
The learning styles.
Absolutely. Yeah, learning how people learn. And then I made senior, and I promoted myself out of a job.
So my man been got all kinds of accolades. In this last little 5 minutes, my man's like, yo, I got a book out, got LOC out. I'm doing this all over the world.
I had 540.
You know what I'm saying? I got promoted. Hey, man, this is your winning season. I love it, brother. I love it.
But you know, the interesting thing about that though is like even though it seems as though like I'm winning, you know, like I still have my faults.
100%.
You know, I still have my shortcomings.
And I respect you for saying that. Sometimes people don't think. Like when you're in that space, people don't think nothing happens to you. And it does.
It did. Like I had my moments where I done crawled up in the corner. You know what I'm saying? Like depressed, all those different things. Man.
Every W come with a couple of L's, man.
Absolutely, man. And I just want to let people know, like, hey, there's enough sunlight for everybody out there to shine.
Hey, man.
You know, so like we definitely got to stop the whole what I call like the toxic competition.
Oh, facts.
You know, like because people especially say the Air Force, like people have been so competitive. You know, about
conditioned
things. Conditioned to be. And then when you get into the civilian world, don't nobody care nothing about what you did in the Air Force.
Zero.
Or it will rank you retired as you just retired.
Oh, that's cool.
You
in the Air Force.
Do not care. Like you'll have like a full board colonel and it just call me Tom.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just Darryl. You know, and it does not matter, man. And like I just wish at some point people would just see that and just understand, like, hey, we can all win.
100%. It's enough out there for all us to eat. 100%. So back to how did that position come about? You know, how did you get into it, and like how was your experience coming into it in the beginning?
Yeah, so when I applied for it, because like I knew I had to pick a job, right? Because I had made senior, and that was a E7 slot, and like I didn't know what to expect, man. I was nervous at first. Like I was actually going to apply for the it was like the director of operations for the Enlisted Heritage Research Institute.
Okay.
Like I was just gonna go to the museum and hide out. I was like, look, man, I'm just go to the museum. And then I talked to a few mentors, and they was just like, why wouldn't you apply for that?
Oh yeah.
You know, because I didn't think they would hire me because I was a brand new senior.
Right.
You know, and then that's kind of like being vice commandant of an NCO academy. That's like
a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal, man.
Right.
It's a prestigious position, and almost like every person that serves in those positions, they make chief afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, because of the responsibility. Because the commandant is usually gone, and you got to step up. You got to make decisions for the schoolhouse. And they selected me, man. Shout out to Chief Taylor. You know, shout out to him, man. He hired me, despite people probably telling him, "Nah, don't hire that guy." You know, and I rode into the position, and literally 2 months into the position, Chief Taylor left. Like he PCS, like he became like the AATC first sergeant, top first sergeant, and I was just like, man. And we didn't have a commandant. We didn't have a commandant. It was like
they did have a commandant.
Well, yeah,
they did.
You know, man, I was so nervous. I was just like, man, like he's gonna leave. And I was like, how am I going to do this, man? Like literally, because a commandant, like a lot of people don't know, a commandant of the NCO Academy or one of these academies, that's the closest for an enlisted to being a commander.
100%. You're on an island.
You know what I'm saying? Like you are essentially the commander, man. Like you, like the
key decision
boss
maker.
Delegates, G series decisions. Like you up to my people's career in your hands. And I was just like, whoa, how did I go from? I just came down here to chill, you know, write some curriculum, retire, and now I'm like almost a commander, you know. But it came to be like one of the most dope experiences, man, like I've ever had in my entire career, man. I still miss my team. Like we've all split up now and gone to different places, but I promise you, man, that was probably one of the best teams that I've had, man, because they allowed me to be myself. You know, like, you know, and everything that I do, everything that I bring to the table, how I talk, how I communicate, they just allowed me to be me, and I let them be themselves as well, man. Even opportunities to be vulnerable, you know, like I shared in the sessions, you know, that one time we were getting ready for PT, and I showed up a little late, and I pulled the whole team in, and I was like, hey, look, y'all, me and the wife got into it last night. I'm in a hotel room. So I'm a little off right now. That's why. You know what I'm saying? And I said that to them, man, and they accepted that, man. They embraced that. You know, I told them about like, hey, we use the military one source to, you know, get a counselor and all that stuff. And like some of them came up to me afterwards and was trying to, you know, like, hey, who's the counselor they hooked you up with? You know, and it is just like from that moment on, man, that moment of vulnerability for me as a leader.
Bonded you guys.
Bonded my team, man. That was amazing. And from that point on, like we were ready to ride or die for anything.
And it's funny you say that. One of the shirts in one of the briefings just now, the PACAF shirt said something that really hit me, because people were asking, you know, how do you measure success versus being effective and things like that. And he said the most effective thing for me is people want to call me back. He said, I don't care about nothing else. The fact that, you know, you got people out here that, you know, they go through, they're successful, but nobody want to call them. So it's like leaders like that, where we're open and transparent, is like they'll ride for you 100% every time.
People humanize the position, humanize the rank. I love it. So you talked about you guys are separated now. So the schoolhouse, tell me a little bit about that. What's going on?
So we ran into some budgeting concerns with the schoolhouses. The thing about it was the Gunner NCO Academy wasn't meant to always be there. You know, it was always meant to be a temporary thing, because after Hurricane Michael took out Tyndall for a little while, that's where it started back up. Like back, they came up to Gunner and they was running operations, and then at the time they were so backlogged that they decided to keep Gunner and keep Tyndall, Erie NCO Academy. And then from there, we just got to a point now where we caught up with that backlog. And for Gunner, it was mission complete. So you know, we had to shut it down. You know, it was tough. You know,
he cried a little. He cried in the car.
My baby, my baby.
You ever see that that thing with the guy sitting in the car? You know, like that. That was me, man. I was like, man, what am I gonna do now? You know. But now I'm at the Barnes Center headquarters, man, and honestly, I think that's a blessing too, because it gives me an opportunity to come away and do things like this now,
Yeah.
right? Because if I was still the vice commandant of the schoolhouse, like it'd be
Busy,
hard.
busy.
Like people would feel some type of way.
Yeah.
Yeah, people feel some type of way that, hey, you know, our leader is always gone, you know,
Yeah,
because that's another thing that people don't like too.
Yeah.
You know, like you leading people, you need to be there for them.
Yeah.
Be present.
Yeah, exactly. Be present. So with me being in this position, I don't really got people. So yeah, I can bounce. Like I can take leave.
And you're also more effective, you know, is sometimes, you know, in our immediate arenas, you know, we help other people. But coming in something like this where you got over 3,000 people here, you're still serving, you know, you're still delivering that same impactful message, but on a different scale. 100%.
Awesome. All right, so in order to preserve your time, like I said, we try to keep these a little shorter than our typical interviews or sessions, but we just wanted to provide you an opportunity to kind of meet the people, speak to the people. So thank you for your time. And I'm gonna turn it over to you if you have any parting words before we shut it down.
Yeah, man. Hey, so everybody out there, like I appreciate everybody that's ever come to a meaningful conversation. Anybody that's ever supported me and what I do. If you're a Gunner NCO Academy graduate, shout out to you. Yeah, I just appreciate the support, man. I appreciate this page and what you all do. Like I've been following this page for an extremely long time. It's been amazing to finally meet y'all in person.
Appreciate the support.
Like ever since like COVID, you know, like you guys have been doing this and it's just been so impactful, man. I was just telling Black, you know, just how we do things and we start things and we don't know what the end is going to truly be.
Exactly.
You know, we don't know what to expect when doing these things. And when they just blow up, it's almost like you found your calling.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying? And when you find your calling, you find your purpose, you got to live your purpose. You know, and it don't matter what anybody says or anybody like feels about your purpose, it's your purpose.
Hell yeah.
Keep going.
Snap. Wise words. Man, I hope you enjoyed the nuggets that were dropped today by our wise brother here. So again, tune in. Thank you for all the support and love, and stay tuned for the next one. Hey, man, for real. Proud of you, bro.
Man, I appreciate y'all.